exactly are you?
Name's Rango.
What is this?
That there's Rango.
He ain't afraid of none of you.
Is that right?
Take care of that for you. All better.
You see them, Mr. Rango? People have to believe in something. Pick it up. Your destiny awaits.
You are going to save us, aren't you?
Count on it, little sister.
You gotta watch animals. I'm telling you, they're dangerous. See, you know those two lizards out on the windowsill? You think are so innocent, the moment you turn your head, the other pulls out a gun, bam, shoots the other. That's from my pappy.
Don't I know it?
And all the rest of them are building a town. They're building casinos and hotels all in the backyard.
Or if you have cats, they're trying to eat your cheeseburgers. Seriously, I know. I can tell you. That's how it really is.
That am their cheeseburger now. Come on.
Then again, Corey, you know what? You never turn the AC on this place, and it may be just heat exhaustion. It's making you see all this happen.
Yeah.
It's like being in the desert.
Well, it's working because I just saw a homeless lizard over there asking for change. I refuse to give it to him.
No, that's Larry, man. He's a regular here. Don't worry about that.
Larry's on fire right now.
Even that lizard me of my hard-earned money. Now that snake that's got the sign that says, "I'm not kidding, I just want beer." Sure, I'll give him a dollar.
By the way,
he's honest.
You give Larry a little extra dollars, man. He'll do you nice.
Really?
Yeah. No, you know something.
And let's lead into the children's film, Rango.
What are you talking about? I said he like shiny shoes or something. Come on, what were you thinking?
Children's film, though? Is it?
Well,
Is it, Leon? I pose the question to you. Is Rango a children's film?
bitch.
Yeah.
Well, it is a multi-million-dollar cartoon, and they only make those for children.
And sure enough, Nickelodeon is producing it.
Yes.
But that being
Which,
said,
strange enough, yeah.
that being said, it didn't feel a lot like a children's film.
Most of the time, it did not.
Not at
You're
all.
absolutely right.
And you know what? This whole thing of talking about heat exhaustion causing you to see things, this is a weird ass movie, man. I mean,
man.
it's very surreal in certain parts.
You know what? If there's anything the thing I love most about this movie, I mean, you know, this not being a Pixar movie, not only is the animation right up there with Pixar, but it does something Pixar never does, in that it's not afraid to get weird.
Yeah.
You go into the desert and
the first hour of it, well, the first hour of this film, I was sitting there going, wow, is this somebody's like fucked up, surreal, like fucked up dream that they just decided to make into a children's film? Because
it's like Gore Verbinski got lost in the desert and had these visions and came back and said, like, I know what movie I'm doing, and nobody's stopping me.
What's wild about this is, like, it's okay, so it's a CG animated version, anthropomorphized animals of a Western, and a classic Western, but not just a classic Western, a mythic Western.
Yeah.
And not even just a mythic Western, but this modern take, relatively modern, since like the late 70s, of the metaphysical Western, where it starts getting into like hallucinatory stuff and like this whole like, wow, is this the afterlife? And all sorts of stuff going on, like symbols and like allegories, and you're like going, wait, I kind of want to go back and start this movie again, but take mushrooms first.
Oh no, yeah, no, it is the Western as if it smoked some shit.
Yeah.
You know what
Which
I mean?
is, like I said, is like there are live action Westerns that have been made this way, and quite a few of them.
Yeah, and by mythic Western, I mean a lot of people would want to compare this to a spaghetti Western, is what
Yeah,
it said.
sure.
I mean, it has the music, it has the whole
not the
grand mythos of
It's
it.
not the John Ford Western.
No.
It's the Sergio Leone.
Sergio Leone,
Western.
yeah.
You could tell like Gore Verbinski, he is, you know, he's pretty much making a love letter to those Westerns that obviously he loves. And wow, did he fucking do it? You know, because
it's adoration.
It is, and it's surprisingly, it really like caught me off guard. Like I was really not expecting much from this film. From the trailers. The trailers are so misleading, and they just do not prepare you for what you're about to see.
I think that like early on in the film, when we first see Rango, who is a chameleon,
Yes.
And
A pet chameleon.
Yeah, pet chameleon
Who wears a shirt.
Aquarium, who's like who wears a tropical shirt, who is in his aquarium performing Shakespeare by himself with his own anthropomorphized
It's
set of
it's
toys.
already kind of weird from the onset, from him being so lonely that he's sort of making up his own world with these little inanimate objects.
Yeah, he's the symbol of the kind of crazed, unsuccessful actor.
Yeah.
That character we've seen before, which of course Johnny Depp is perfect for to play that part. But even more so, does this movie tell you what it's going to be when the aquarium flies out of the back of the car after a bump and crashes on the ground, and on the way, the gecko flies into Hunter Thompson's car. I am not making this up. It flies into Hunter Thompson's car, and you go, oh, this is going to be good, is it?
No, these are hipster in jokes that actually work. They usually do.
I wouldn't say that.
I would call them hipster.
That's a bit of a stretch.
Don't throw that. Don't throw that.
God damn, excuse me, y'all. I'm sorry. Shit, I'm sorry.
No.
It's from literature. It must be hipster.
In a way, it is because it's like
shit that I would like. Yeah.
Well, I would say the beatniks. Come on, hipsters are the new beatniks. I mean,
post beatnik.
Yeah, come on. I stand by what I say because, and I mean that in a most positive way, because these are not the adult inside jokes that people would normally do. They're not all that blatant. Like you said, they're more literary, and so they're a little smarter, and call it pretentious or whatever. But they do work better than somebody else just doing the average pop culture reference
to the specifics of the genre. You know what I mean? It's like, and not just making puns, like Romeo and Juliet, which we enjoyed. Did do a lot of referencing to Shakespeare, but it was mainly pun references.
Yeah, sure.
That's not what they're doing here at all. They're trolling on the plots of classic films and just taking pieces here and there, but done as like just loving tributes to those films.
Yeah, and you're right. In this movie, Johnny Depp plays a pet chameleon who does wear clothes while his owners don't realize this or recognize this. I don't know.
They probably the ones who put the clothes on. It's cute.
Yeah, first it's cats, now people are dressing up lizards.
It's not like he found a shop he could buy a chameleon.
Have they no couth? But
he's taking fashion lessons from Hunter S. Thompson. That's all I thought about while he was wearing that Hawaiian shirt.
I couldn't help but think that's why he was wearing that shirt.
What was that movie called?
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Apparently his owners had that shit on a loop, and he has no choice but to watch it in his little aquarium. But he is in an aquarium all alone by himself, nobody else but a plastic tree, a doll that has nothing but a torso and an arm, and a plastic fish in some water. Oh, and a dead bug. And a dead bug. He's so lonely that, he starts to act. He wants to be an actor, but all this acting comes out of wanting to be more. He wants to be a bigger figure than what he is. Fate comes in. They're riding on the road. His aquarium goes flying out the window. He meets his weird armadillo who tells him to go into the desert. When he goes into the desert, he comes into this town. He does the whole thing of bragging to people, sort of like the I killed 7 with 1 blow type story,
Yeah.
I killed the biggest, baddest people who came to this town with 1 bullet. Everybody believes him. Next thing you know, he's the sheriff in the town. Of course, being the sheriff, he has to take on every new adversary or hurdle that's thrown his way.
Well, and don't just stop there. Then, with
that's just the wrap up. I know we'll elaborate.
Well,
You forgot about him falling into the peyote.
This is whole thing where
when he falls out of the car.
I mean,
and start seeing all that shit. Yeah,
a huge part is the water shortage. The fact that they live in a town that's so hot and so dry, and the minute water touches the pavement, it evaporates.
Yeah, water is this town's currency. And let us not also fail to mention that this is a town of animals who also dress in clothes, but manage to build little buildings out of wood.
It's funny that this baffles you so much. You can't wrap your head around the whole idea that there's a cartoon with animals that wear clothes and have a town.
It's like when you
they are talking too.
I know,
it's actually
that's
more
crazy. This is heresy.
This is the guy right here who did an animated film about talking animals playing basketball.
Hey, I didn't do that. I did a shadow on a bird.
This is weird.
Listen, let me tell you something. Once you watch a movie like this, which is weird, you start to really start to question things like, wait a minute. I never thought about cartoon talking animals talking, before I dress in clothes. But what is really weird to me is like, okay, it's a town full of these little animals wearing clothes and building little buildings, and they take little everyday items and make little outhouses with them and whatnot. But this animals apparently they're socially behind the curve. So this is a Western town. So it's like, even though this is set in modern times, these animals are still set back somewhere in the 1800s and beyond. So
it's almost like the modern times are only there to later on have not even like a chest pounding point, but a minor environmental point, but. Yeah, I mean, essentially, this is an old school Western, really. It's like you can forget about all that because this world that they live in, it's the 1800s, I mean, it is the Wild West, down to every last character being an archetype, a classic Western archetype. And that's where the joy of Rango is watching the detail that they went into, not just with the way they've drawn their characters as far as like their personalities go, matching these, but the way they literally drew them. I mean, my God.
No, they do.
These had to be the greatest character animation designs I've ever seen.
Weren't they great?
Just
beat me
packed on
to
with
it,
detail and so much character. I mean, it was like the kind of thing that the Coen brothers do when they do a Western.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly.
to get that detailed with it. And each one of them, I don't know what you guys, but I was just like laughing my ass off just every time they showed a different character, just go like, wow, that is so unique and so funny.
It is one of those things where every character is unique, and just looking at them, you can already tell who they are. You can almost see their entire history just by looking at them. The first time they're on film, they're there in the frame.
You ain't from round here, are you?
I'm still working on it. So, what's your name?
Beans.
That's a funny kind of name.
What can I say? My daddy plumb loved baked beans.
Well, you're lucky he didn't plumb love asparagus.
What are you saying?
I mean, I enjoy a hearty puttanesca myself, but I'm not sure that a child would appreciate the moniker.
My daddy was a great man, even if he did exhibit a proclivity for lagoons. And
Spicy.
you are eating his ashes.
Oh! You carry his remains?
No, his ashes. He loved to smoke. They never found the body.
Oh, well, I'm sure he had his reasons.
And that's the other thing, though. I mean, golly, I guarantee you Pixar is wishing they could have worked on this film, wishing that their stamp was on this film because, honestly,
know what Pixar wants?
I know. I just know these things.
This is one of those few exceptions of the CG film. There's lots of others we see, like Shrek or whatever, we go, okay, it's not Pixar,
close enough,
but it's really good. And this is one of those films that is at that level.
It is only because they really get the nitty-gritty sense of like the Sergio Leone spaghetti westerns that a lot of modern westerns today fail to do. It's true, honestly. And I mean, just with the characters alone, these are like great, solid characters. At least for me, but
everyone, and it's not a safe movie. You get characters who die early on in the film, so you know that you can't just think like, oh, nothing's going to happen to these people, and it gets so weird and surreal, and it's not afraid to be weird or to be dangerous.
It's not afraid
There's a
to
certain
be
edge to it.
smart is one of the things I really like about it too, because all right, obviously Gore Verbinski already knows how to work with Johnny Depp, to say the least, but he really knows how to use him here, because a lot of Johnny Depp's more manic stuff has just gotten kind of old in the live action stuff. Right. But wow, does it play to the advantage of this character here, who is, like we said earlier, this failed thespian type of thing. So he's like really so much smarter than everyone else, and he's kind of a scammer, and he's really funny. I mean, I understand. Kids couldn't understand, but every other sentence that he is uttering, quite frankly.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, these are some great character designs. I like the way Cole's is like, every crevice on their face tells a story. But you know what? I mean, you want to know where animals go when they become roadkill? They go to this town. I mean, because these are not cute animals. They're not pretty. It's supposed to be a Western, and everybody's supposed to be gritty and nasty.
Covered with shit. Like they're supposed to be.
If they took the average CG character, covered him in shit, and ran over him with a truck a few times,
shot him,
did all kind of shit. He would be a cast member in this movie. She would be a cast member in this movie. It's amazing the character designs that you've seen here. They're so unique. I mean, they've captured they weren't afraid to not only not make anything cute in this, but they've captured all the grittiness that you would see in a Western. And that's the cool thing about this movie, is that it is when it's all done and said with, because I was kind of getting bored at one point.
I will say there was a point in the middle, and it's even right before a big action sequence where I thought it was slowing down.
They were losing me. I fell asleep.
No, I wasn't falling asleep, and they weren't losing me. But I was like, okay, it's lost some of the momentum it had in the beginning.
With this?
But once it became,
yeah.
Where are you gonna? Because you've got it strong. You set up your characters. You've really entertained me. But it's been a while since we've seen some new characters, and the plot seems to be going, I don't know what's going to happen next. And so there's about 10 minutes there that you go, okay, where are we going with this?
Yeah, come on, guys, don't drop the ball now.
Because you're so afraid. You're like, this has been so good. If you screw it up now, you could screw the whole thing.
Oh, no, the beginning of the movie.
They pulled out with this amazing action sequence that just knocks your socks off.
Oh, yeah, no, it starts out very funny. And then I think there's a lag. And then once it kicks in with that action scene, not only does it become something like, it's right up there with like Star Wars, the trench fight, and Independence Day and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But then it's like after that, because I'm thinking, okay, I'm awake now watching, but they'll go back to all that boring shit I saw before. But no, after that, they say, okay, oh yeah, we're Western. And they stick to that. And I'm like thinking to myself, I'm like, God damn, this is like only a good talking lizard movie, but it's an honest to God great Western,
It is a great Western in and of itself. The only criticism I could really think to have against this movie is that at its core, it still follows the traditional cartoon setup. I mean, of these films where it's like a guy comes from the outside to a new group of people. He's accepted because that's predicated on a lie or a misunderstanding. And you know that sooner or later, that's going to fuck him in the ass. Sure enough, it does. He has to go off and unfuck himself and then come back and learn how to be a hero. You know? And sure enough, that's exactly what we've got.
You hear that, children?
You should be writing for PBS.
That's the mother story, children. Unfuck yourself.
I can't believe the Children's Television Workshop passed on you.
I was kind of surprised by that, too. Especially the outfit I wore to the audition.
I can see your children's show you weren't addressed. Hey, kids, it's time for unfuck yourself.
It's like, look, we didn't let Katy Perry wear that. You can't wear it either.
Well, they did let her wear it. They just cut it out.
But it is that, like, not only does it come back strong, but just when you think, like, okay, it's coming back strong, but I kind of know where it's going to go, then it really kicks into high gear with the surreal factor, where like any other movie would have just been like, hey, okay, let's go ahead and wrap this up. But no, you get a bigger surprise even toward the end. It's like, damn.
Well, the thing is that you said Gore Verbinski knows how to work with Johnny Depp. He does. At first, I thought, when I was watching the trailers, I was like, I don't recognize Johnny Depp's voice. That's cool. When the movie started, I was like, not only do I recognize his voice, but he's kind of getting on my nerves a little bit. But then it kicked in, and I lost myself in the character. Now, and he works with Johnny Depp on Pirates of the Caribbean, of course, Captain Jack Sparrow. But the thing is that Gore Verbinski, he's not. This is not unfamiliar territory with him when it comes to a quote unquote, no matter how we see it, a family film. I mean, this is a Nickelodeon movie.
Hey, Mouse Hunt is one of my favorite.
Mouse Hunt. If nobody remembers Mouse Hunt, I think it was his first mainstream movie. It had Nathan Lane and Lee Evans. Yeah. And they were chasing like a little mouse. I mean, it was like a Tom and Jerry, Warner Brothers live action cartoon.
Laurel and Hardy meets Tom and Jerry.
Yeah. Basically, it was about a mouse fucking with them.
I will say though, as well, you can see what he learned from the second Pirates of the Caribbean movie, which is when you've got a whole bunch of monsters, you need to go into really specific detail with the personality of each one, with the way they look. Because with the whole, all the sea monster things, every single one was so neat, it almost made up for a lot of the downfalls of those films in the plot. Because you're like, wow, it's just great to look at these guys. Here, they've got the good plot, and they've got a town full of characters who are that fascinating.
Saying that, as much as I actually really love this movie, I'm praying to God they don't do a sequel, because I just think, especially just thinking about the Pirates of the Caribbean films, like after the first one, the second and third one, I just didn't care for anymore. It's like he lost that special thing about his style that I thought he really recaptured here with this film, where I was like, I didn't know it was directed by him until the end of the movie, and I was like, wow, it's like not only did he just make a great Western, but he managed to use Johnny Depp again, to where he kind of brought some new life to Johnny Depp with this movie. Because, I mean, I'm one of those people who I'm really getting burned out on Johnny Depp right now. But after seeing this movie, even though I don't physically see him, I was like, wow, that guy still has something in him, that it's that charisma with his voice that he can do, just with his character, that where it really did like lose me. I mean, it wasn't Johnny Depp as a lizard. It was this Rango character.
It was Rango.
It really was.
Yeah, the thing that's weird to me, and I know nobody will agree with me on it. I don't expect anybody to, but I really liked like Rango himself a lot in the beginning, and yet halfway through he was kind of getting on my nerves.
See, I'm the other way. I thought at first he was irritating me. I was like, this is just Johnny Depp showing off. And then like 10 minutes in, suddenly they'd had me. I was like, oh, yeah. Wow, okay, now they're doing some interesting. From then on, I was just in love with that character.
I didn't like start to like him again until he got called on his bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happens. Because I'm the same way with you. I'm like, the reason why he gets on my nerves is because it's not even Johnny Depp. It's just
it's the character.
It's the character. It's that character who has to do all kind of manic actions and reactions and acting just so the animators have something to play with, just so they can do wild takes with him. That was very transparent to me, and I get kind of tired of that character. But at the end, when he's like, okay, I better quit bullshitting, and he actually had to be a hero.
What turned this into a straightforward Western?
And it does.
Yeah.
And speaking of a straightforward Western, man, you can't have a straightforward Western without having a great villain.
Oh, what a terrific! Not even the plot's villain, but the villain that comes in later is kind of almost the third man of the movie.
Well,
that's talking about him and talking about him, and then when he shows up, you're like, wow, that is a fucking scary.
Oh yeah, no, they keep talking about. They say rattlesnake somebody. What was his name? Rattlesnake Jake. So
Jake.
Okay,
Jake the snake.
Come on, it's
the man with the DDT.
They brought him back.
No, it's a comeback. It's a movie full of talking animals, so it's going to be a fucking rattlesnake. All right, I mean, but when he comes in,
desert, of course,
it's Bill Nye who does the voice.
Nahi.
I mean, Nahi. Okay, wait a minute, that's an orange drink, ain't it? that black people love. Oh, that's Lehigh. Okay.
Bill Nye is the science guy.
That's that black elixir.
Bill Nighy is the British
Bill Nighy's
guy.
the British one. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, whoever he is, he does a fucking great snake villain. Okay.
He's not even mildly British.
When he comes in,
you never would have guessed it was him.
never would have guessed.
You know what? He's just like a straight up bully from high school who's all in your face, punking you in front of everybody.
Yeah.
Oh,
You can't do nothing but like sweat. Say it again. Say it louder. I'm a bitch. Like, get your punk ass out of here. Okay.
Damn, an actual snake did that to you, didn't they?
You know who else's work here is fantastic but unrecognizable is Hans Zimmer, who does the score.
Man, this had to be one of the best scores I've heard maybe ever.
Since Inception?
Would you have guessed? Would you have guessed this is Zimmer based on his previous work?
I would not at all.
No, I had no idea.
Great.
No,
Even though I was like, I need to look up who did the score at the end of the movie. And when I saw Hans Zimmer, I'm like, this guy can do no fucking wrong. Just give him an award right now, please.
And if I could just say one thing more about that villain, it's just like the Old West. Morals are ambiguous. You start to say, I'm thinking about amphibians. I'm looking at all these all these fucking animals in this
I know, it's amphibians.
Ambidextrous. Morals are, in this case, amphibious, but also ambiguous. God damn it.
Ambiguous.
I know the fucking word. It's ambiguous. And that's what I loved about
He's just dying for one of us to say it. So you're like, I knew that.
Shut up. I knew that word.
You go ahead and say it.
There's some ambiguity to morals in the West. And even the villain at the end of the movie, he has a little nobility to him.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's the thing about it. There's the original Westerns, the John Ford Westerns, like I was saying before, John Ford, John Wayne, all that, which things were a lot more black and white for most of those anyway.
Sure.
And then you've got the second way, the spaghetti Westerns, the Sergio Leone, which is what our generation think of as like our iconic Westerns.
Sam
Those are
Peckinpah.
Our mythic Westerns.
Sam Peckinpah.
Total Peckinpah, because a lot of this with the main villain's motivation is kind of like in the Wild Bunch. That whole movie is about like, look, this was the Old West, and now we're making a transition to the modern industrial age, and you guys, the gunslingers. Your time is over.
Yeah. It's kind of Chinatown too. Really,
exactly.
I mean,
it's very Chinatown.
I can't emphasize enough to Western fans out there, like hardcore Western fans, that this is a movie you actually have to see.
Yes.
I mean, not only does they're paying tribute to Sam Peckinpah, Sergio Leone. They're even paying tribute to one of my favorite Westerns, The Three Amigos, which, if you really think about it, big part of this plot. That's where they got it from.
Actually, you're right. You're right about that.
For our younger viewers, that would be A Bug's Life.
life.
Or Three Stooges episode. You know? No, the movie's not flawless. I mean, it's very good. It's not flawless. Like I said, there is a lag before the movie really kicks off into what's great about it. And I really was getting kind of tired, and I was like, man, this better pick up soon. And it did. But wow, is this a really fun movie? Very smart too, very trippy. I wouldn't. It's stoners delighting this. I mean, it's very good.
There's gonna be a lot of fucked up guys after the film.
Yeah, and there's a lot of voices you don't reckon.
If Jim Morrison was still alive, this would be his favorite movie.
He is the Lizard King. But there's a lot of other voices in here before I'm moving on my rating. I'm looking at them right here. Isla Fisher, Abigail Breslin, Ned Beatty as the town's mayor. Never would have guessed that that was him. Alfred Molina.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out who that
who was the armadillo.
Yeah.
Never would have known him. Stephen Root. I mean,
any Western you do, you gotta have Stephen Root.
Yeah,
in there
but
somewhere.
nowadays he's like.
And I will say this: I won't ruin anything, but listen for Timothy Oliphant in the movie before you see anything in the credits.
I don't want to say
which you'll never hear.
You'll never guess who he is, but go ahead and listen for.
Wow, it just seems so obvious when you see when it happens.
So man, look, despite what I was saying, I really did think that this movie was going to be like a high matinee for me, but it pulled it around at the end. I love westerns, and goddamn, I never thought I'd see a lizard come in and deliver like one of the coolest westerns I would see this year. The year's not over yet; it's very early, but nevertheless, I give this a full price.
Yeah, absolutely. It delivers on so many things that you don't expect. I mean, I like what I saw from the trailers when I've been watching other movies, but I expected, okay, this ought to be fun, and it kicks off just being it's just not afraid to be weird, to get surreal, to go out there. And more than once, and to have these great characters that are just so awesome just to look at and hear them talk. And every time they pull one up, it's like the timing on when they brought each one in was just perfect to just make it so enjoyable. And yeah, there is that lag and that point with Rango's main character where I was kind of getting a little tired. I know exactly what you're talking about, but then. Right, but they not only win me back, but they even kick in more stuff than I expected. It's a high full price.
Yeah, you nailed it. It is a high full price because not only does this film do everything that I like a CG animated film to do and do it right and exceed expectations, it does things better than I expect most Westerns to do.
True.
I mean, it in so many ways made me really happy. I was just sitting there with a huge grin on my face through the whole film. It's absolutely a high full price.
Yeah, it definitely makes me want to revisit all my favorite Westerns again, like The Wild Bunch and every single Sergio Leone Western film. And, of course, The Three Amigos. Yeah, it really does. And that's the thing. I mean, they really got the spirit of the Westerns down, especially with the characters and just the entire plot. And it is one of those films like you're not going to see a Western like this ever, period. Because there's no fucking way they're going to put talking animals hanging out with Clint Eastwood in Unforgiven Part 2. But no.
Don't give up on that idea. We can still have that.
Tim Burton, come on. No, but, the thing
Don't say that.
The thing is that, there was a moment where it did lag just a little bit, but not enough to where it made me hate it. I mean, I'm almost on the verge of Better Than Sex. Only because it really exceeded my expectations, especially looking at that trailer, which I thought was horrible, honestly.
Yeah, the trailer did not look that good.
No, not at all. But I have to give it a straight on full price, just because I honestly think everyone has to see this film. I think this film is about as enjoyable as Toy Story 3 was for me.
I would also say to everybody, like, watching this film, the picture was beautiful. The animation itself, not just how everything moved, but how it looked, like the way they animate the people and just the texture and everything was so crisp and clean. It looked 3D without you needing to wear 3D glasses.
Yeah, I was going to say. I think when we were in the theater, I was asking, did anybody get their 3D glasses? Because I thought this movie was going to be released in 3D.
So you're the only one sitting up there with shades on.
Yeah. Thank God I brought my own.
If they offer a 3D version of it, don't waste your money because you see it in 2D. It'll look much clearer than the last few 3D movies I saw.
This movie is the best argument just to get rid of 3D period in animation. Honestly,
you don't need it.
No, you don't need it. And it is like watching. I mean, it's like watching a painting. I mean, I said this about Tangled, which is like watching a painting.
Sure.
But this one is like watching a very detailed oil painting come to life. I mean, because I've seen so many characters.
Like live action.
Yeah, it looks so alive and just moist. Like it had the moisture of life in it. Even though it was a movie about the lack of water.
I was telling somebody the other day how much I miss like just watching like The Illusionist and movies like that, where the animation, it really like you miss that form of art where I'm like, you know what? There hasn't been a 3D movie that's really ever captured that, especially with the characters or the backgrounds. And after watching this movie, I'm like, well, fucking Gore Verbinski just did it. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it does look moist because all these animals look like late-term animal abortions. I mean, you know, because they still got a little bit of fur on them, but there's all this moist skin. So I mean, it's nasty.
Gross. Like people you see in the westerns, like townspeople in a western, they're never pretty. They're like I said, they're covered in shit. And they haven't shaved properly. Their clothes are got holes in them.
The ass is just dirty.
The dentist is the barber.
No, you're wrong about that. The barber's the dentist.
Hookers are all fat. It's not a pretty people here. Just saying. I mean, it's like real hookers, to be fair.
But I love the fact that like the way people are animated, they look like Mort Drucker caricatures right out of Mad Magazine.
Mad Magazine, yeah. And you know, I think the movie has a lot more depth to it if you look at it as this whole thing is a hallucination.
Oh, yeah.
Because, I mean, you think about all the weird stuff that this lizard sees. You could tell by the car that he was riding in before, the fact that they have a shirt on him. You can see the kind of back of the heads that they were stoners.
So you're saying it is, in fact, a sequel to Fear and Loathing in Love?
Yeah. That's what it was. It was
Hunter Thompson is actually just tripping his balls.
No, that's Hunter Thompson's lizard. Hunter S. Thompson had a lizard. He got that fucking lizard high and sat down with his right buddy and said, look, now watch this. This lizard thinks he's a cowboy. Look at this. Hey, watch him sit up there pantomiming that shit. Isn't that crazy?
Meanwhile, Gonzo lawyer is going, give him some more acid.
Lizard's on acid, man. Poor fucking lizard, man. He ain't doing nothing to nobody.
Seriously, turn down the 3D glasses and take the peyote instead.
As your lawyer, I advise you to drive very fast and get that lizard fucked up.
Hold on, don't worry, I got a plan. Help! Open the door! Okay, plan B.